like the Reds. It's the wrap-up. Joining me now then, John Gibbons. Same old names, John, this week in the transfer gossip world. Rob Gutman's been talking again about Virgil van Dijk, Naby Keita, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. It just feels like a bit of everyone's just knocking into each other at the moment. All the clubs, they're not really making any progress. You know, they're all just standing there going, you make the next move, and they go,
yeah.
You make the next move.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out that it's the same for a lot of the big clubs. You look around, I mean, what are Tottenham doing? Chelsea aren't really getting anywhere. City, you know, had a bit of a flurry at the start, but then some of their deals seem to be stalling as well. I think there's so much money involved, and the stakes are so high, and clubs are still trying to suss out what the market is and what market value is really. So I think people are just kind of plucking numbers out the air a bit at the moment. So not to panic, but maybe a bit frustrating for people who you know, we'd like to get a couple more over the line, wouldn't we? But I mean, it did make me laugh on the Van Dijk thing when yesterday on Twitter there was a few stories knocking about that Southampton have said he's not for sale, and a few people went, well, that's that then. And I just thought, they always say that, and someone put it on Twitter, and apologies, I'm not sure who it was, but found all the headlines of the past summers where Southampton have said players aren't for sale. And
definitely not selling Lallana. We're definitely not selling Mane. We're definitely not selling Lovren. We're definitely not selling Crouch.
Yeah.
And on it goes. Clubs always say that, don't they?
Yeah.
It is the game. It's the whole thing's a game. The whole thing's a bit of a standoff. You know, you put something out in the press, they put something out in the press. This gets leaked there, the agent's saying that. It's all a bit of a minefield, but, you know, as time ticks on, you know, I still believe Liverpool will get deals done. I guess the thing is, like, will Liverpool end up having to sort of drop down a bit? I mean, I think the Oxlade-Chamberlain stuff is quite interesting, and, you know, you had a chat with Melissa, didn't you, from goal.com. That's another video that's already out there. But on him, he's a player who can play in a lot of positions, but it's not a sexy signing, is it? It's not a marquee signing.
I think even for the club, I mean, me and Melissa talked about, even for the club, I think he's seen as a bit of a bonus one. Like, if we can get him in for the reasons you've said, then he, you know, we know he'll be useful. But I don't think he's the one they want in centre midfield, or he's the wide player they want necessarily. I think he's just seen to kind of everyone as a bit of a bonus, really. But a nice one to get over the line if they could.
Yeah. What else has been happening this week, mate?
I just wanted to ask you about, you've been moonlighting on other podcasts.
I have, mate, yeah, sorry.
You did an American one. They asked for the main guy. I wasn't available. And so they got Gareth. But what was the name of it again?
US Anfield.
US Anfield. They seem like good lads, first of all. I liked them.
Yeah, nice lads. Basically, by their own admission, they're relatively new to the whole world of football. Like, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's not essentially American sport, is it? It's sort of something America's starting to embrace.
And everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and they've started somewhere, and they've got into the Reds. They've been to games and things like that, and they just thought they really liked the Anfield Wrap, which was nice to hear. And basically they've started up their own podcast now, and it's doing well in America by all accounts. And yeah, they just wanted to have a chat with one of us, it was me, about sort of how we started with the Anfield Wrap, how it all got going, and how it turned into what it is today. Really.
But I found it dead interesting to listen to it, even though we sort of knew the story, because we're quite bad in here at, like, looking back at kind of what we've achieved, if you like, but just generally, like, going, oh, do you remember that? Because we're always just running around like idiots, like trying to do the next thing. And so I was like, oh yeah, we did do that. And it was quite nice, like, reflection. And it ties in quite well with something you've done this week, which is highlighting on the website now. There's a highlight of all the interviews we've done and some of the more kind of high profile shows, if you like. And when you see it as a list, you're like, oh bloody hell, we have done a lot.
Yeah, it's a big list because I mean, people have said for a while that you know, they've joined the Anfield Wrap at different stages, they subscribe to our podcast at different stages, and they perhaps don't know, you know, that years ago we interviewed Rafa Benitez, or we got Houllier, or we got Brendan Rodgers, or we got a series of players. You know, Carragher's been on about 4 times, Haman's been on, Lucas has been on. You know, we've had all these different players over the years, and plus, you know, there's a series there of history shows as well, looking back at seasons in depth. One of them's mad, 8 parts.
Yeah, and I think they got really stuck into it. I think it was one of the Benitez ones, wasn't it? And they got really stuck in. But
people love that show because you know, you obviously lived that time, and they basically relive it. You know, Mike Nevin's on it, and he's brilliant. He's like,
his memory's unreal.
It's like Rain Man; he can just remember everything. So yeah, they're all sort of well worth listening. But in terms of what's happened this week as well, big news in the sort of about safe standing, really. You know, it's been something that the Anfield Wrap's pushed for some time. There's been some news on that, and so here's me chatting about safe standing. anyone who follows the Anfield Wrap will know that for a while now we've been advocating the idea of safe standing. We've done a couple of videos on it, we've done some shows on it, and I went up to Celtic and experienced the safe standing section at Celtic Park. So it's worth saying this week that the whole thing's moved on, in that Shrewsbury Town this week have applied to become the first English club to have a safe standing section. And also a few days ago, West Brom indicated that they would be willing to pilot a safe standing section in the Premier League. So it all feels like it's gathering a bit of pace now. And this week we spoke to Glyn Price from the Blue and Amber fanzine. They cover Shrewsbury Town, of course, and Glyn was absolutely delighted that, you know, the conversations between fans and the club had led to the stage where they could now push ahead and get this section. We're also going to be speaking to John Darsh today. So by the time you see this video, hopefully there will be a show out there from us, just updating on what's going on and what the next step could be, really. I mean, some people are obviously still quite sensitive about this conversation and around Liverpool, because, you know, the reason all-seater stadiums were brought in was obviously after the first inquiry into Hillsborough, when that was one of the recommendations, that in the top 2 divisions, every ground in England and Wales is all-seater. Now, of course, things have moved on, things have changed. Safe standing sections are successful. The one in Celtic's absolutely brilliant, both in terms of safety, in terms of bringing atmosphere to the ground, and also just in terms of being something that fans wanted. It's a good sign of good communication between the club and the fans. So with Liverpool now, they seem to be taking their lead from the Hillsborough Family Support Group. Their official stance, with Marcus Aspinall and Trevor Hicks at the top, seems to be that they don't want it. They see it as a backward step. Nevertheless, I feel, and most of us at the Anfield Wrap, I think it's fair to say, feel that there should be a conversation about this. There's plenty of match-going fans at Liverpool, at Anfield, who believe it's a step forward. There's people standing for 90 minutes anyway for lots and lots of games on the Kop, and that is essentially unsafe standing. It's easy to fall over the seat in front here or the one behind and crash into people. It's not safe for young children when they're in there, and safe standing, as the name suggests, very much is safe. So I mentioned Hillsborough there in that safe standing piece, and you might be wondering why the Anfield Wrap hasn't really mentioned the big news around Hillsborough this week in either the video on the website or in the podcast, and there's very good reason for that. You know, there's 6 individuals now who've been charged, as has been all over the news, and what we are now basically, that is now an active case for each individual, and it's very easy for these things to go wrong if people say the wrong thing in public, certainly about individuals. So what I've got in front of me is just a statement from the CPS, which I think is very important to take on board. They've said criminal proceedings have now commenced and the defendants have a right to a fair trial. It is extremely important that there should be no reporting, commentary or sharing of information online which could in any way prejudice those proceedings. I really would urge people to sort of take that on board. Just, you know, don't put stuff on social media. Don't put stuff on websites. You know, the families it's took them 28 years to get to this point. We want them to achieve what they want to achieve. We want to see justice, of course. So just don't put anything out there. If you've somehow missed all this, there have been charges that have been authorised by the CPS against David Duckenfield, who was the match commander for South Yorkshire Police on the day of the disaster. Graham Henry Mackerel, who was the Sheffield Wednesday Football Club's company secretary and safety officer at the time of the disaster in 1989. Peter Metcalfe, the solicitor acting for South Yorkshire Police during the Taylor inquiry and the first inquests. The former Chief Superintendent Donald Denton of South Yorkshire Police, former Detective Chief Inspector Alan Foster of South Yorkshire Police, and Norman Betterson, a former officer with South Yorkshire Police and subsequently Chief Constable of Merseyside and West Yorkshire Police. So yeah, please do heed that advice. All right, so on the football again then, it's July on Saturday. We're into July, and it should be Christmas, John.
You're going to do that?
But the second week of July is when Liverpool kick off their pre-season fixtures. There's a game at Tranmere, there's a game at Wigan, and then, you know, into games abroad. And, you know, me and John are going to go over to Dubai. We're doing a live show there, and then that's a bit of a pit stop on the way to Hong Kong, because we're going to watch the Reds out there. So
yep.
Are you looking forward to, you know, where do you stand on pre-season football? I mean, it can be a bit strange, can't it? But at the same time, it's good. It's football of sorts.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. You know, I think you said a few days ago, you know, you're ready to get back into it, and I think it'd be nice this summer because there's no hasn't been big tournaments, so sometimes you can get a bit bitty with people coming back at different times and things like that. With this, you know, most of the players you'd have thought will be back and raring to go, certainly by the time the tour is anyway. And so you start to look for little things like, you know, centre-half partnerships, usually looking at who you know, what he does in midfield, what he does with Phil Coutinho. I think quite a big thing this summer. So you can start to look for clues.
We get to see Mohamed Salah.
We do. We can see how fast he is running up and down Birkenhead. That'd be good. And so, you know, you will get clues in terms of how he wants to play next season, you know, and what he wants to do with certain players. So it's interesting, I think, to get into the mind of Jurgen.
Now, you might be watching this and thinking, these two handsome fellas have got fantastic T-shirts on there. And we have, haven't we, mate?
We have.
This is designed by the man behind the camera, Sam Walkerdown. What a guy. And it's basically when Roberto Firmino just skinned Soldado, or, as Paul Senior once said on a show, sent him for the Echo. So we might do a sort of series of these maybe, but this is the first one. Firmino skinning them there. I hope you can you see that, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this one, if you're an avid follower of the Anfield Wrap, you should know what that hashtag means. If not, if you're new, it's when the Reds win, we all win, because we do, don't we?
Right, it's good to remember.
Both of those T-shirts are available on the Anfield Wrap shop. This one's sold like hotcakes, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, flying. Don't tell Senior, it was his idea. He's very smug.
He won't pay and all kinds, won't he?
He'll swing for it. So that one's, well, it's sold out in medium and large at the moment, but we've ordered some more in. This one is available in all sizes, but selling pretty well as well. So get on it, just go to theanfieldwrap.com, click on shop, and that'll take you straight through.
Okay, that's been the wrap up. We'll do another one next week. Up the Reds.